Are we living in a simulation? Level C. 1. Advance. For centuries, humans have asked the same fundamental questions. What is reality? How do we know that the world we see is real? Philosophers, scientists, and thinkers have always tried to understand the nature of existence. But in recent decades, a new idea has captured the imagination of millions. The simulation hypothesis, the possibility that our universe is not the base reality, but a highly advanced digital simulation created by an unknown intelligence. This idea may sound like science fiction, but it has become a serious topic in philosophy and even scientific research. Several well-known thinkers, including Elon Musk, Nick Bostrom, and some respected physicists, argue that the simulation hypothesis is not only possible, but statistically likely. According to them, we might be living inside a sophisticated program, similar to a video game, but infinitely more complex. To understand why this theory gained popularity, we need to explore its roots. The simulation argument became widely known thanks to a 2003 paper by philosopher Nick Bostrom from Oxford University. He suggested that one of the following statements must be true. Civilizations like ours always go extinct before reaching a technological level capable of simulating universes. Advanced civilizations choose not to run simulations for ethical or other reasons. We are almost certainly living in a simulation. His reasoning is simple but powerful. If advanced civilizations survive and gain the ability to run billions of extremely realistic simulations, then the number of simulated universes would be drastically larger than the number of original, physical base universes. Statistically, that would mean that we as conscious beings are far more likely to exist in one of the simulated worlds rather than the single real one. This isn't the only argument. Another reason the hypothesis seems plausible is the rapid development of computing power. Human-made simulations are becoming more realistic each year. Video games today contain worlds with detailed physics, believable characters, and sophisticated AI behavior. Virtual reality and augmented reality technologies create experiences that feel almost natural. If we imagine technology 1,000 or 1,000,000 years more advanced, creating a fully immersive universe, one as complex as ours, does not seem impossible. But the simulation argument goes beyond technology. It challenges our understanding of consciousness and perception. Everything we know about the world comes through our senses: vision, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. These senses are translated into electrical signals that our brain interprets. In other words, we never interact with the world directly, we only experience our brain's interpretation of it. This idea is already strange by itself, but it makes the simulation hypothesis even more compelling. If reality is, at its core, a set of signals, then an advanced computer system could theoretically generate those signals perfectly. Another point supporters often mention is the mysterious nature of physics. The universe behaves in ways that resemble computational systems. For example, space and time appear to be quantized at extremely small scales, like digital pixels. The speed of light behaves like a computational speed limit. Quantum particles seem to change their states only when observed, similar to how a computer renders graphics only when the player looks at them. Some scientists even suggest that the universe's underlying structure resembles a digital code with mathematical patterns deeply embedded in physical laws. At the same time, the simulation hypothesis raises difficult questions about free will. If our universe is simulated, do we truly make our own choices? Or are our actions determined by the code written by the creators of the simulation? Some supporters argue that consciousness may be a natural phenomenon, capable of emerging even inside a simulated environment. Others believe that if our world is programmed, our decisions might be controlled or influenced by the system running the simulation. Ethical questions also arise. If we are simulated beings, what about our suffering, emotions, and experiences? Are they real or just data? For us, they undeniably feel real, and that is what makes the discussion so unsettling. But from the perspective of the creators of the simulation, our experiences might simply be part of the experiment. Interestingly, the simulation hypothesis has historical roots. Long before computers existed, philosophers like Plato questioned the nature of reality. Plato's allegory of the cave describes people who see only shadows on a wall, but believe that those shadows represent the entire world. The story suggests that humans may never truly see reality, only a reflection of it. This is remarkably close to the modern simulation argument. Even modern physics does not give us a clear answer about what the universe truly is. Some theories propose that reality is made of information instead of physical matter. Others say that the universe might be a hologram, a three-dimensional projection of data stored on a distant two-dimensional surface. These theories do not claim the universe is a simulation, but they make the idea less unlikely. Despite its popularity, the simulation hypothesis also has strong critics. Many scientists argue that the theory cannot be tested and therefore cannot be considered scientific. Others say that even if we lived in a simulation, we would have no way of knowing, because every test we perform would also be part of the simulation. Some believe that assuming a simulation simply moves the question one step up. If our world is simulated, who created the simulators? Are they also simulated? Does the chain continue forever? Still, the debate remains open because the simulation hypothesis forces us to examine the limitations of human knowledge. It touches on physics, metaphysics, consciousness, and technology all at once. It encourages us to think about the purpose of life and the universe. If we are in a simulation, what is the goal of the simulation? Is it a scientific experiment? A form of entertainment? A way for advanced beings to study their own past? Or something we cannot even imagine? Even our everyday technology provides strange hints. Artificial intelligence grows more sophisticated each year. AI systems can write stories, solve problems, create images, and mimic human behavior. If we can create forms of intelligence within our world, it is not unreasonable to imagine someone else creating us inside theirs. Perhaps simulations are simply a natural step for any advanced civilization, much like electricity or space exploration. Yet the most compelling aspect of the simulation hypothesis is not the technology or the philosophy, but the mystery it represents. Humans have always searched for meaning. The simulation argument may not give us answers, but it invites us to ask deeper questions. Who are we? What is reality? What lies beyond the universe we see? And if our world truly is a simulation, then the final question becomes even more fascinating. What happens when the simulation ends? If we consider the possibility that our universe is simulated, one of the most intriguing questions is whether we can ever detect it. Some scientists believe it may be possible. They propose that if the universe is running on a computational grid, then at extremely small scales, space might show tiny irregularities similar to pixels that reveal the resolution of a digital image. Experiments involving cosmic rays and quantum physics try to detect such patterns, While no conclusive evidence has been found, the hunt continues. Another approach is to look for limits in physics. For example, the universe has a maximum speed, the speed of light. In a real computational system, there are limits too, such as processing power or data transfer speed. Could the speed of light be a sign of the universe's processing limit? Some physicists think this idea is not impossible. Quantum mechanics also raises questions. One of the most mysterious principles of quantum physics is wave function collapse, the idea that particles behave differently when observed. In a sense, they exist in multiple states until measured. This resembles how a computer game renders details only when the player looks in that direction. If our universe uses similar rules to save computational resources, it might be a clue. But even if we could gather evidence, what would it mean? Would the discovery that our world is simulated change anything in our daily lives? Some people imagine that knowing the truth would cause panic or despair. Others argue the opposite, that it would make human life even more meaningful. If our existence is part of a great experiment or a vast creative project, then maybe we play an important role. The simulation hypothesis also forces us to reconsider the idea of a creator. In many religions, a higher power shapes the universe. Interestingly, the simulation argument introduces the possibility of creators who are not gods, but highly advanced beings. Are they scientists, engineers, future humans studying their past, or entirely different forms of consciousness? No one knows. Some thinkers suggest that if the simulation exists, our creators might observe us without interfering. Others believe they might influence the simulation from time to time. In fact, certain unexplained phenomena, sudden breakthroughs in history, or moments that feel like coincidences, have been interpreted by some as possible glitches or gentle interventions. Of course, these interpretations are speculative, and most scientists treat them with skepticism. Another fascinating aspect is the possibility that we ourselves could someday create simulations indistinguishable from reality. If humanity continues to advance, future generations might build universes with conscious digital beings living inside them. Those beings would experience their world as real. They might even create their own simulations. This could lead to an endless chain of realities, simulations inside simulations, perhaps without a true base reality at all. This idea leads to profound philosophical questions about consciousness. Is consciousness something that can emerge from complex information processing? Many neuroscientists think so. According to this view, consciousness arises from the structure and activity of the brain, meaning that if a computer replicated that structure, it might become conscious too. In that case, simulated beings could experience emotions, pain, joy, and curiosity, just like humans. However, not everyone agrees. Some researchers believe that consciousness has properties that cannot be simulated, no matter how advanced the technology is. They argue that subjective experience, the feeling of being, cannot be reduced to code or computation. If this is true, then a simulated universe might reproduce physical behavior, but not consciousness itself. The debate remains unresolved, and science has no definitive answer. Another important question is why a civilization would want to create a simulation like ours. Several possibilities exist. One is scientific research, a way to study the evolution of life, societies, or the universe. Another is historical recreation, where future civilizations could simulate their ancestors to learn about their past. A third possibility is entertainment, much like how humans play video games. Or maybe the reason is something we cannot understand, due to our limited perspective. Some philosophers argue that even if we live in a simulation, the simulation must still follow rules, our physical laws. Therefore, studying physics is still meaningful. Discovering scientific truths remains important. Whether the universe is real or simulated, it still behaves in consistent, predictable ways. In that sense, the simulation hypothesis adds curiosity, not chaos, to scientific exploration. Interestingly, the hypothesis also has psychological implications. For some, the idea that life might be a simulation can be unsettling. It might make them question the significance of their choices or achievements. But others find the idea inspiring because it highlights the uniqueness of the human experience. Even if we are simulated, our feelings, relationships, and dreams feel real to us. The purpose we give to our lives is still powerful. Moreover, the simulation hypothesis encourages humility. If advanced beings created our universe, then our understanding of reality might be extremely limited. We might be like characters inside a book, aware only of the world written on the page. Outside that page, a much broader reality could exist, far beyond our ability to imagine. The debate also touches on ethics. If we create simulations with conscious beings in the future, we will face serious moral responsibilities. How should we treat those beings? Should they have rights? Can we turn off their worlds? These questions may sound hypothetical now, but as AI technology evolves, they may become real, ethical challenges. Another compelling perspective is that the simulation hypothesis might serve as a modern metaphor. Even if the universe is not literally a simulation, the idea forces us to think about perception, illusion, and the limits of human knowledge. It invites us to reflect on how much of reality is shaped by our own minds. Our fears, beliefs, and hopes influence the way we see the world, sometimes more than objective truth itself. Furthermore, the simulation argument can be seen as a way of expressing the feeling that the universe is structured, ordered, and meaningful. Whether created by code or by natural laws, the universe operates with remarkable consistency. Patterns repeat across vastly different scales, from atoms to galaxies. Mathematics describes the world with surprising accuracy. These patterns might be a sign of underlying design, whether digital or natural. The debate becomes even more fascinating when we consider multiverse theories. Some physicists suggest that our universe is just one of countless universes, each with different physical laws. If this is true, then a simulated universe is simply one kind of universe among many. The line between real and simulated becomes blurry, because every universe might be a form of information arranged in various patterns. Whether or not we live in a simulation, the idea raises a profound question about human purpose. What should we do with our lives if reality is not what it seems? Most philosophers agree on one thing: meaning is something we create. A simulated world does not make kindness less valuable, art less beautiful, or love less powerful. Our experiences matter because they shape who we are. In fact, considering the simulation hypothesis can make life feel more precious. If the universe is an experiment, we might be part of something extraordinary. If it is a story, we might be characters in a grand narrative. If it is a test, our actions might have purpose beyond our understanding. And if it is simply a mysterious but natural phenomenon, then exploring it becomes a lifelong adventure. In the end, the simulation hypothesis is not about proving whether we live in a digital universe. It is about exploring the boundaries of imagination and knowledge. It invites us to look at reality with fresh curiosity, to recognize how little we truly know, and to appreciate the incredible complexity of existence. Whether the universe is simulated or not, it remains vast, beautiful, and full of unanswered questions. And perhaps the most meaningful part of being human is the desire to keep asking those questions, to seek, to learn, and to wonder. Because if we are in a simulation, the ability to ask why might be the most human trait of all.